Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Reseller Show session number. Give me a clue, Kev.
28.
That sounds about right. We'll say 28. Session number 28. My name is Andy Lawrence.
And my name is Kev Blackburn.
And welcome to a bank holiday special. I hope everyone's had a great weekend. If you're listening to us and watching us in the UK, it's been a great weekend. I hope you've had a good weekend, Kev. I know that you've had plenty going on, so I'm looking forward to hearing about that. And hope everyone is okay in the chat. Say hello and let us know how you're getting on and how your weekend has been as well. So, ready to get started, Kev. How are you doing today?
My legs are completely destroyed, Andy. I'm not going to lie. Completely destroyed. I did happy bank holiday to everybody. It's so many bank holidays lately. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yesterday I did a half marathon. I've got my top on here. Finisher, look.
Congratulations.
Finisher. Awesome. Look at this Look at that for a medal.
Wow. That's a decent chunk of metal. You can weigh that in, Kev.
That is. I was thinking to myself, could I sell this?
Yeah, that's a reselling opportunity right there.
But I don't want to, because this is probably what I will say is it's probably one of the best quality medals I've ever had. Not gonna lie, it's really, really quite good. But yeah, it was fantastic yesterday. I did the half marathon, completely destroyed my legs, but that's why I'm at home this evening instead of being at the warehouse. So I'm hoping technically everything goes well with us this evening.
I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. Think positive and positive things will happen. That's what it's all about, hey?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something. I had to think positive yesterday. I'll share with you guys. Good evening, Sam, Simon, Sean, Chris. Great to see you guys. I'll share with you the quick story about the whole 2 hours. My God. So I didn't do much training, and I highly recommend if you're going to do a half marathon to train, because 13 miles is a long way. So I got to about mile 3, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, what the hell have I done here? And so it really got quite serious at about mile 4, then mile 5, and then something amazing happens where you just think to yourself, right, I've got to focus here, and I've just got to take one step at a time, and I managed to get it. I managed to get home, so I didn't stop at all. I didn't walk at all. That was one of my main goals. I didn't want to stop, start walking, because as soon as you stop, you can't get going again. Right. But did it. It was good. It was good.
That's awesome. I'm proud of you, man. That's good. I mean, if you're not pushing yourself, and if you're at that point where you think, hopefully I'll do it, but it's going to be a hard thing. If it was going to be easy, then that's not a challenge, is it? So it's good that it's a bit difficult. If you've got a bit of a mountain to climb, then that's a worthy thing to have overcome and to beat. And so that's a good achievement. And you know what? That medal is going to look really nice next to the London Marathon medal. You know, in another sort of 18 months, 2 years time, you can put that next to the full one, and you can chart your development as you go along. So that'll be awesome.
Yeah, pretty sweet. But yeah, looking forward to tonight's show as always. Last week's show was fantastic. Hope you guys are great in the chat. How's your weekends been?
Yeah, how's everyone been getting on? Have you been hustling this weekend, or have you been hanging out and chilling out with the family, doing a bit of both? Be interesting to hear how you've got on. Got any good deals over the weekend? Sean's always in amongst the deals, so I'm sure you've got something to share with us, Sean. Yeah. It's good to see you as always in the comments.
Sean popped up on my Facebook this morning. What time was it, Sean? I think it must have been around about 8 a.m. or something, and you was out at a car boot sale. Taking massive action. That's what you were doing this morning. Fantastic.
Of course he was. Every single day. That's what I'm talking about.
Every single day.
Excellent. He's just a man of pure energy, and I have a lot of respect for Sean. He's doing great things. He's going to be killing it in no time at all. I'm absolutely sure about that. But yeah, it's been a great weekend. I've enjoyed it. I've been doing jobs. I've been getting jobs done this weekend. You know, sometimes it's a weekend of I'm going to do this, that, and the other, and I'm going to go here and do that and whatnot. But I had a few things mounting up, been quite busy, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to enjoy just getting things straightened out and squared away this weekend. So I've been doing those little things that have been niggling me for a little while, and a few painting jobs in the kitchen. And we had our kitchen replaced about 2 months ago now, probably about 2 months ago. And I still didn't get round to just doing those little decorating touch-ups that I should have done after it was all done. And I've been staring at it for months. And I thought, no, it's let me just get this out of the way now. So yeah, I've been doing manly DIY jobs this weekend, feeling very satisfied at my efforts. But yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, well, that's what the weekend's all about. And seeing F&S resellers, found out about Reseller Show a few weeks ago, trying to catch up. Well, it's great to have you here. It's fantastic to see you, and Luke's here as well.
Luke's in. Always good to see you, Luke.
Fantastic to have you guys here.
Yeah, F&S Resellers. I recognize you guys from Instagram. I think you've got a great Instagram account. So yeah, welcome along. It's always good to have new followers and new people tuning in. So you're more than welcome. Luke's here as well. I'm going to be chatting with Luke this week on his Facebook group as well. So I'm looking forward to chatting with Luke. He was a great guy. Really enjoyed chatting to him at the, always forget the name, Online Arbitrage Summit in Lincoln that we were both at a few weeks ago. And I tell you what, sometimes you just get a first impression of people, and I definitely think Luke is really up and coming. He's a smart lad. You know, he's young. He's got all of the sort of energy of youth, which is great to see, but he's smart. You know, he's got his business head on. I wish I was as focused and switched on as Luke when I was like in my early 20s, because I tell you, he's going to be where I am, you know, today in no time at all. The sort of the curve of where he gets to is going to be rapid, because he's taking on as much as he can, he's learning as much as he can, he's implementing it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching his progress.
And that's one of the great things about being a part of this community. There's been we see so many, and everybody is like on this incredible like momentous wave of energy forward. And what I'm really looking forward to is some of the stories that come out in Q3, Q4, and as we start leading up to Christmas. We should potentially have some type of Reseller Show Christmas do or something, because I've got a feeling that there's going to be some really quite incredible stories this Q4, like there is every year. But I think I think every year it just gets better and better. So yeah, absolutely, awesome work, guys. Everyone's taking action.
Absolutely. And just while we're in this crossover period, before we get stuck into some of the content, if you are new and you've just found our channel for the first time, this is a community. This is all about the community. So myself and Kev are presenting it every Monday at 7 p.m. live, and the podcast is also available on iTunes and Android, and wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to it wherever you are on the go. But also, it's more about the community. It's about trying to share information, trying to help as much as we can, pool our resources, discuss, and make our own reseller community a better place. So that's what we're all about, really. It's it's all about the team and growing together. So yeah, it's a joint effort, and we really enjoy doing it, and we really sort of enjoy hearing your stories and hear everyone growing. So yeah, it's good to see.
Yeah, and it's one of those things as well. The great thing about doing this type of format where it is live, if there is any news that come along that we can talk about together as a group, some big news that may come out of Amazon or wherever, we'll talk about the news and everything first. If there's any topics that you guys want us to discuss or talk about, we will do that too. And we are going to get better. We're in the process of hiring somebody right now. Going to be talking to Andy a little bit later on about that, where we've got some shortlisted guys that are interested in helping us getting more and more great content for you guys. But yeah, tonight we a couple of things to touch on. There was a great, and I'd love to know you guys' thoughts on this as well, because I mentioned it to Andy just before we came on live. There was a great comment from Colin in the one of the Facebook groups, and he mentioned this thing that's been going on about Amazon suppressing buy boxes. He basically put a link out to this link was to the government website, And this government website was all to do with anti-competitive behavior and market issues. And he goes on to say that it seems that Amazon suppressing buy boxes and then sending out emails advising people to lower their prices is completely illegal. Which is quite fascinating, really, because I said to I think I commented on the post itself. I says this is quite interesting, because I'd be very surprised if Amazon, the way that they worded their emails, they'll probably said something like, "We advise you," or I don't know, something to get out of it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you might be able to get away with saying it goes against, like a code of conduct or a moral duty for certain things. But knowing Amazon and knowing that, I imagine they probably vet most communications and most policy changes probably go via their full-time department, with the legal department. I imagine they probably have a fairly good grip, although Europe have certainly been getting involved and giving Amazon a pat on the shoulder recently about certain practices, and I will expect them to push further and make sure that things are fair. And it's a platform that a lot of people now rely on as their business and as their main way of getting their livelihood. Europe has certainly recognized this, and for the moment that means us, which means we should get the benefit of the fact that Europe is saying you've got to play fair. If you're going to be suspending people, there should be clear and obvious reasons why you have a clear and obvious process for appealing that, and there should be set ways where you can appeal and give your side of the story. So they're just making sure that they're not just doing whatever they want and not paying any attention, which is good news. I think they definitely need someone like that just to keep them on the straight and narrow. Ultimately, I think Amazon will do what's right for them unless someone pulls them back and says, okay, don't push it too far. And that may be something they do with this, but ultimately deselecting the buy box is absolutely up to them. It doesn't necessarily, they could turn around and say it's up to us how we structure our own platform. They're not stopping people from selling. Everyone can still sell, but we know as resellers what they're doing is leveling the playing field a little bit and taking out the people that have the buy box, maybe that are that much over the top of everyone else. But I still feel this is not something that's new. The emails are newer, and maybe more buy boxes are going recently. But if you have a listing, for example, and it's still selling well, but there's not many people have the item left, and so people then start pushing up the prices over and above the RRP. For many years, you'll see Amazon deselecting the buy box and putting it down like that for that reason. I think there is definitely always been an algorithm point where it says, okay, enough's enough. The RRP was $12.99, for example. It's now going for $24, $27.99. It's gone way above normal, but there's still a demand. And I think Amazon at some point says, all right, hold on, enough's enough. Deselect the buy box just to try and level the playing field. It doesn't mean you can't still make good sales, but it's in the past something that they have done when it goes crazy. And I'm not sure, but I still think the majority of listings I've heard that have had that happen are ones generally where the buy box is running away with itself a little bit. But, we'll see. I think there's checks and balances involved here. So I definitely don't think it's a massive problem, but certainly something to keep an eye on. And certainly if you who are listening back to this at a later stage or live in the comments, if you've had any experience, any more information, let us know, because the more we know about this process and the more we can tell what's going on, the better. But as far as I can see, the few people I've spoke to, it does seem like it's the higher buy boxes that seem to have been affected more often. And if that's the case, hopefully by deselecting the buy box, you should still be able to make good sales. It just means you're going to be competing with the merch fulfilled sellers as well, rather than just having it all your own way in terms of FBA. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think F&S resellers. Sorry, you'll have to just put your name in the chat so we
let us know which one we're speaking to. Yeah, so we can call you.
But made a good point here, saying that we had one of those emails. Strangely, it said that they were at £32 and should lower to £29 to sell. They ignored it, but obviously because we share the buy box and we share the listings, a competitor who was on the buy box as well reacted, and then because he uses a repricer, it obviously lowered the price, and then he sold at 29. So, if you think about it, Amazon, you could, in some way, Simon, thanks for sharing. You could say that, Amazon have really just taken £3 from you at that point. Do you know what I mean? It's that borderline thing where, and Sean says, there's a fine line between what Amazon are doing. You probably can't call it illegal, but it's probably not right. It's great. It's one of those things where we as third-party sellers, we've got lots of upside and there is some downside, obviously. The reality is we use Amazon's platforms. Like we've said this countless times. How amazing is it that we can be selling on Amazon and we can have access to the millions of customers that Amazon have? Mm-hmm. And that is an incredible upside to us. But with that, there's always going to be some disadvantages. In this case, obviously, Amazon, they're manipulating, or they've manipulated that scenario. Somebody's reacted, and it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing for us. But I guess one of the things that there's nothing we can do about it, really. All we can do as a community is keep sharing as much as possible and getting the word out to as many people as possible, new sellers, advanced sellers, just to continue to match each other and try not to be so reactive, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is interesting. I've seen it happen quite a few times. I don't know if you've got these other sort of automated emails over the years where it's I can't remember the exact wording, but it's like your item would be more competitive at a lower price. Our algorithm says your item would be more competitive at a lower price. We suggest this price. And then what do? They give you incentives to try and lower your price. They give you some pretty measly discounts on your fees if you go to a lower price and things like this. But it does affect it, because I've seen other people going down and taking that as for granted, but then that will push the market down. What they're trying to do is, once they get that price down, they know that the competition will follow, and it will affect the price of the item. So I have seen it several times where an email comes in, and in the next sort of few days, the price starts to push down on an item. I haven't moved, but someone else has, as has happened with Simon. So they're definitely manipulating. You can definitely say they're manipulating prices. Now, I don't know whether anti-competition laws goes in the way in terms of price fixing, where people get together and say, we're not going to lower our prices, let's stick up here. Now, that is definitely anti-competitive and against the law to make agreements between different sellers to keep prices higher. I don't know if that works in the other direction, but yeah, it's an interesting idea, and certainly something we need to.
I mean, the only thing that we can do really is, like, ultimately everybody has their own selling strategy. It's completely up to, ultimately we can't decide if somebody wants to sell and lose money on everything that they sell, because that happens. People do that. People just don't, for whatever reason, maybe not educated enough, they don't understand, or whatever it is, or some people may want only 100%, and they're only going to take £10 profit per item. Ultimately, it's up to anybody to decide their own strategy. I guess the only thing that we can't control is in this case here, where if it's within your margin and your auto repricer then obviously prices it down. Let's say, for example, I don't know, in this case, it was at 45%, and now you've sold it at 35% because it's within your range of selling. Then it's just one of those things where we've just got to take that on the head. We can't do anything about it.
No, once the price starts moving, then it's just natural that other sellers will react to that. And I mean, personally, I will always look at a situation. If one person moves down and they have a relatively small amount of stock, most of the time, personally, to protect the the price of the item, I'll look at that and say, okay, they're going to be gone in maybe 3 or 4 days. I'm going to stay there. I'm not going to follow them down in hopes to share that lower price and then come back up again, because if in between that time someone else comes in, they'll join at the lower price. So quite often I've been tempted to stay up, wait until they sell out, and then the price will come back up to me, knowing if it's only a few days, I'd much rather miss out on a few days worth of sales. Potentially that might only be 1 or 2 items anyway, depending on the the actual sales velocity of that item, and then just take the sales after they've sold out, because I don't want to go down if I can help it. I'd rather stay up, miss out on 1 or 2 items, knowing that I'll get them at the higher price later on. So personally, that is what I've tried to do in the past, but that's generally, especially with reprices, obviously that's not what happens. You'll get, that decision isn't, you can't make that decision because you can't see all of your products and you can't assess that for every single one of your products. So your reseller will follow it down, obviously. I mean, it will obviously, or can reset it at different times at night. And if there are opportunities to come back up, you can set it to do so. But, that's another conversation, about how many people have a good grasp of how to do that.
Yeah, and I'll just add on to there, Andy. What's been interesting, some of the analysis that we've been doing in our business is trying to understand, like what you just mentioned there about holding your price higher. So let's say, for example, if you take a 30-day period, if you take a full 30-day period, somebody may get a sale every single day at, I don't know, let's say 20%. Every day they're just selling at 20%. But Andy, you're sat there, you're thinking, do you know what? I can see that there's demand here. The price is going to go back up. Why don't you just stick it out for 3 weeks and then you sell all of them at, I don't know, 50% or much more profit, all in the space of 2 or 3 days. Yeah. It's one of these things where I believe it's what your strategy is. Ultimately, that's going to win long term, because obviously you're just going to be making more money with everything that you sell. And what's been interesting in our business, what we've been doing, a part of our replenishing system, is we've been working with our spreadsheets and our Google Sheets on graphing, but in a table. If you imagine a table with all the dates and then all our products that we've got for sale, and we've been sort of like putting into tables when and the rate of sales that we've had, like are we getting like 1 sale every single day, or have we got no sales like for 10 days and then sold out in a space of a day or two? Instead of just seeing that you've sold 30 in a month, we want to see when did we sell it and what's the rate of what we've sold it. Just try getting better at our pricing strategy. And we see that all the time. And I would recommend you guys do that too. Try looking at the rate of your sales, because a lot of the times you'll find that you don't need to race down to the bottom. You don't need to just chase that. If you just stick above, the price will come back up. It's just the nature of what we do.
It'd be interesting if you can figure out a strategy or a procedure at scale, Kev, where you can recognize those items maybe at a set sales velocity, a set sales rank, and a set competition rank, that you'll hit a certain procedure and you go, right, that goes on pause, and just even gets flagged up for a human to view it. And then you view it, it's hit those parameters, and you go, competition's going to be gone within a week. I think there's better opportunities to hold on that particular item. I think I'm going to get exponentially more money by holding, and that item then gets maybe manually repriced or something. I don't know the procedure at scale, how that would work, but it would be interesting to see how you get on with that. If there is something you could put in just to say, that's not worth going into the auto repricer thing, because I think it's going to sell out anyway, whether I sell out at 20% or whether I sell out at 60%. I like to go for but again, you have to make sure it's worth the time for whoever would be doing that, to make sure it actually adds to your bottom line afterwards. But for me, I definitely think at the right time of the right item, because you've got to make that calculation. If it takes too long to wait, then automatically you could say, well, if I sold out and restocked, then 2 lots of 20% is 40%. And if I'm waiting for 35%, then I still would potentially have been worth selling it for lower. And then, throughout the year, I would have been able to sell more items as a result. So there still is an equation to make but for me, a lot of the time I'm waiting for a lot more. If you're waiting for a bit more, sometimes it doesn't. If you're waiting, say, 3 or 4 months and the additional is going to be 6% more, you might say it's over the year, it's probably not worth it, because for that time I could have bought a lot more and recycled my capital, in which case I would have been up by doing the faster churn versus the slower. So you've still got to make that thing. But I'm searching for 60, 70, 80, 120, 150% on those deals when I'm holding and sitting and things like that. So it's worth it, because ultimately then what I'm doing is less work, selling slower, but making more money. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do personally. Doesn't suit everyone's selling scenario, but that's my own tactics and it works for me. And so I think I'm getting more money as a result.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm interested to see what you can get out of the data there, Kev, because certainly what you've got to do is sell at scale, and in which case you've got to make a procedure that works for everything, and I get that. So you've got to figure out at what point the economy is to be able to spot those and be able to do something about it. But yeah, interesting ideas.
Yeah, it is interesting. It really is. Yeah, I think that probably takes us onto the other question that I spotted in the Facebook group, and it's about Amazon's free repricer. Personally, I've never used it. I don't know much about Amazon's free repricer, but for you guys that are maybe watching this or watching this back, and maybe you're just at that moment in time where you're considering what repricer is right for you. Personally, I don't think I would recommend the Amazon's free repricer. Simply because it's Amazon, and obviously we have to trust Amazon, but there's something about not quite right with them allowing them to control the prices, because what do they want? They want to drive the price down. So, what's your thoughts on Amazon's free repricer?
Well, I think as a blanket statement, we can be fairly confident to say that anything Amazon puts out as a free tool to help its resellers is going to be in their favor. Obviously, it makes sense for them to put out something that works for them and does something for them. And very much so, I think it's working for them. There are certain things, okay, it kind of works in a very basic way, but I can't see that it's worth using. I mean, what's the cheapest repricer? The cheapest repricer you can get is not going to set you back a massive amount of money. There'll be some more fully featured, more expensive reprices, but to be able to choose Amazon's free one over some of the cheaper ones just doesn't make sense. There are a few things I don't like. Firstly, if there are two people competing for an item, a lot of people will compete in competitive markets knowing that, okay, maybe they may end up at 15%, but at the point where they get their goods in, they may be making a few sales on the way down to 20%, and maybe they might make 40, 38, 36, 35, 30, and they'll be making sales. So by the time they get down to 20, maybe 3/4 of their stock might be sold, in which case that's all good anyway. So that's fine. But with an Amazon repricer, if I understand this correctly, if Amazon says, okay, his lowest price is £20 and that guy's lowest price is £20, Amazon will just reprice to £20 because it can see they're both there anyway. So you don't get the whole slow bish, bash, bosh as it slowly climbs down. It just goes straight down there. So you literally go from wherever you were straight down to your bottom line. So Amazon is making use of that to, as you would expect, go straight back down to the lowest common denominator and get to the lowest point sooner and quicker. So you're not going to get that opportunity to grab a few sales on the way down to your lowest point anyway. So you miss out on that. Obviously, Amazon's winning from that. The prices are going to be quicker, lower. They're sort of accelerating that competition and agitate it even quicker. Plus, it doesn't reprice up. Again, not really surprising. It's Amazon's repricer. There's no function for it to refresh at midnight or something and go back to your max. So it's only going to go in one way, which means they're only ever going to be cheaper, which means, great for Amazon, bad for resellers. So I don't understand. It just doesn't make sense to me. Spend a little bit more money and get an independent repricer that isn't sort of going to have Amazon's interest at heart, which just makes sense to me. As soon as it first came out, I was skeptical. I was kind of cynical. I'm like, nah, I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it did. I didn't understand what it worked. But just when it first came out, I'm like, this smells fishy to me. All sorts of things could be happening in the background. But certainly, if you're just talking about being a repricer, I don't think it's a very good one. So if you just from that perspective.
I think that.
Just said, sorry, Kev, carry on.
Sorry, no, go on.
I was just going to say, Chris has said in the comments there, Profit Protector Pro is where it will be. That's in beta at the moment. I'm very much looking forward to trying that out when it comes to the point of being available to the wide audience, because understanding a bit about it. Well, Matt and the guys were chatting to us at Lincoln at the Reseller online arbitrage summit. The little that I could glean then, that looked like a very powerful piece of software, and going on Buybot Pro and all the other software that they've done so far, I fully expect that to be a very powerful piece of kit. And so that is definitely what I'm going to be looking at, and hopefully I'll twist Matt's arm and we can have a word with Kev between us, and maybe we can get a special deal for the Reseller Show audience, and we might be able to sort of see what we can do.
I think that's definitely that's the one thing that I will say about. That's the good thing about being a part of the show. The numbers, the more numbers we have, it makes us powerful, and then we can go to these service providers and say, look, let's do us a deal for the reseller community. And we'll see what we can save for you guys at any time that we possibly can. But like Chris made the good point there, saying since he moved away from the free repricer, his sales and his profit has improved massively. And that to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. Like when I signed up to Repricer Express, I can't tell you a sudden increase in sales. And a lot of the times, these softwares, they have a free period as well, which means that like after the free period, you can see, have you had some type of step change? Have you made more money? And you can see it. So it's an absolute no-brainer, in my opinion, to at least trial different things if they're free. You've got nothing to lose and you can make money. And that's what this is all about, making money.
Yeah, I definitely think if you pay for a piece of software, you pay for something, it's always going to be better than something that's available for free. 90% of the time, you're going to get something worthwhile. If you're a bookseller, Luke will tell you, you're not going to be able to take it seriously unless you use paid for services. Yes, you can use the free Amazon Seller app on your phone and you can manually scan barcodes and you can go out and you can find books. But your game will be exponentially improved by paying for software that is dedicated to doing that. It's not even close to comparison. You will be able to find massive amounts more books and make massively more profit. And so, yes, it will be a much better business when you invest in your business. I always recommend investing in the tools of your business because it's not a cost. It's an investment. Firstly, it is a cost to your business, so it will help to go against your tax, but also it is an investment in your business, which would hopefully make a benefit and so more profit than it actually costs you. So, yeah, I think Profit Protector Pro, I'm looking forward. It's in beta at the moment, so they're still going through improvements and things, but I'm looking forward to when that's produced. I'll be looking forward to trying it out and testing it. But I really do think it's going to be a powerful piece of kit, and it's in good hands. The guys there, they know what they're doing. They've got a good team, and I expect it to be very cool. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We'll keep you posted how that one goes, but yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, one comment that I did miss, it was from Luke, from Mr. FBA UK himself. He's been big on checking out these buy box changes over the last few weeks, and he did actually a really, really good video on his YouTube channel going in depth about what happened, the notification that we got from Amazon. So just a quick shout out there to Luke. If anybody wants to check out that video, talking a little bit more in depth about the changes that have occurred with buy boxes and things, Luke did a great job. I think it was like a 35-minute video or something, really deep dive into it. So top man, he's been doing a lot of, I assume you've been just tracking things and analyzing things and just monitoring things and doing some good work there.
Yeah, great. It's really useful information. Definitely check that out. He said, I've been monitoring this for about 4 weeks. Some listings have now gone back to full buy box. This is what I expect. Generally as a rule, items will recover if there's enough time, if there's enough velocity in a product. Ultimately things will recover, and that's the way I think long-term approach in terms of monitoring items and making buying decision. I quite often look at it as an investment, especially as I'm mainly wholesale. I will speculate long-term on items because I'll look at them and think it's a strong seller, it's a good brand, I understand that the brand, it's not going away anytime soon, it's not a fad, it's not a flash in the pan. If I can buy this item now, the competition's not where I want it to be, but it's strong enough sales velocity that in the future it's going to come to me, and the profit is going to be enough for me to be happy to wait. And I think there's that tactic, even if your volume and you don't work like that, it's fine. Every now and again something may come up and go, actually that would be a great buy and hold item, or a buy and wait for a few months, because even if you just do it every now and again, everyone that's getting good turnover should be able to sit on 50 quid's worth of stuff or 150 quid's worth of stuff from time to time. And if you can buy that and instead of getting 25, get 85, it's worth those little additional tests. And the better you get at it, the more you do it, the more you'll actually get better at it. And sometimes you can look at it and go, that's just screams, hold on to me, and excuse me, it's worth it. So a lot of the time listings will recover, and even if it takes a dip, if you look at it long term over 4 or 5 months, it will be a temporary dip and they will recover. And a lot of the time that's where I live, in the recovery, and everyone pushes down this side. Everyone's pushing down here, and I'm here at the recovery, or I've been over there before it happened, and I'm waiting, and I'm there in the shadows on page 3 saying, hi, I'm just going to sit there and be patient while everyone's getting scared and making 63 pence, and where you've gone.
You're sat there in Monaco with your feet up having a nice drink.
Well, that has happened as well. Yeah, that's true. And I'll be saying, yeah, all right, lads, you carry on. I'll go back to making my 89, 94 and 125% when you're gone. See you later. Yeah. But no, that's all good. Everyone's got their own way of doing it. It works for me. It doesn't work for everything. Sometimes you can wait too long and miss the boat. So it's not a rule for life. But if you can get good at the data and you really understand it, it's a very powerful tactic.
Yeah, and I just wanted to. I think we missed this right at the beginning. It's amazing seeing all these comments come in every week now, guys. I really do appreciate the engagement. It does definitely help me and Andy to put on this show. The more you guys engage and questions and talk amongst yourselves, that's what this is all about. But one thing that we missed was Sam saying, "Do an Ironman next, Kev." I'm not doing an Ironman. And two, big news there from Chris. His parents and brother are going to invest in his business, or our business. So that's really good. So I think that might be a part of the show. I'm thinking that would be quite a good part of the show to celebrate some news that occurs in the community. So feel free to share any significant move, like big or small, really, anything that's happening in your business. Like Chris, congratulations to you for your parents and your brother to invest in your business. Big thing, that really big thing.
Well, if your bottleneck is capital, and I know you've been doing it for a while, Chris, you've been cracking on, and I've been following your progress. You're doing really well, and very proud of your journey. And if you've got to that point where you're selling well, you understand the process, you're making good buying decisions, it's going better and better and better. If your bottleneck is now, the more money I have, the more money I can make, then something like that, where you just get a cash injection like that, is fantastic, because that can take you to the next level, obviously. And what better?
Oh, you can have a quantum leap.
Oh yeah, massive, and the better, what better trusted resource of parents and family. You know, you as long as you can get a business understanding, so you don't get any confusion or arguments, then it's as good as it gets. So yeah, it's a great move, Chris. I'm looking forward to seeing how you move on from that point. But yeah, awesome. Really
Yeah.
proud of you.
Maybe that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. We will start to celebrate the biggest successes whatever you guys want to do. If you want to share anything, any news, anything about your business, let's keep
Milestone.
sharing.
Yeah, if you hit a milestone, maybe you've hit a certain volume of sales or a certain point that you were trying to aim for in the first 12 months or in the first 2 years or something. Yeah, it'd be really good to do that. I think that's a great idea, Kev, for sure.
Yeah, and just by saying that, we've had Luke say his latest business news is that his company's just been formed. Use naming tips from Andy's great webinar the other week. Amazing.
Yeah, pleased to hear it.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Really good work. I know that, in fact, was it last week or the week before, Luke was sharing with us that he's actually dropped out of university. He's going full time with his business. So he's really starting to ramp up now. So he's not messing about. He's going full beans on it. And again, you know, he's decided where he wants to go and he's saying, right, I'm just going to go for it. So yeah, really, really good to see him making big moves. And yeah, that's
yeah. And isn't it? I mean, you know, we're always going to focus on if something significantly like bad happens or something like we need to talk about together. We're always going to focus on that. But there's something about us all celebrating together, and it just increases that energy. And then tomorrow we're raring to go once more.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a great idea. I think that's good. We should, and you know, when you're working on your own, sometimes or in very small groups, it's, you know, you don't have those connection to share these things with people. So I think it's a great idea to have a small section to just share that and just sharing everyone's success, because that's what this is all about. So yeah, good on you, Chris.
Yeah. So Sean goes on to say that Amazon takes ages to pay me. Got £2,000 plus sitting there and only pay so little. It's because I'm a new seller. So unfair, ran over. So
yeah,
you know, I mean, we can touch on that as well if you like, in terms of because it is one of those things where I never, fortunately, from when I got started back in 2015, obviously over the years, every year Amazon starts to introduce more and more things to make it does get harder. You know, I think it would be wrong for me to say that it doesn't get harder. I think Amazon is much harder now than it was in 2015, for sure. And one of the things that they did was, instead of being able to do like a daily disbursement, and the thing I don't actually understand, it don't really make an awful lot of sense if you think about it. The logic is a little bit backwards, because right at the start of anybody's journey, when they're just starting as a brand new seller, that cash flow is everything. They need the money back. So it's a little bit, I don't fully appreciate what Amazon's thinking behind it. I can only assume that it's not like cash flow related, because they must have many billions in the bank.
I think
you
it's
know,
a
so
security measure. That's what I think it is. I think they're trying to. I think if you're new, if you're relatively new and you're making very fast volume of sales, all of a sudden you go from zero to doing loads. I think what it is I don't know whether you hit a certain velocity or whether it's all for all new accounts, but just as a security thing, I think they put it in place, which means if something suddenly comes up, because obviously it takes a little while for items to actually get to the customers and for them to check them and everything else like that. And for example, a scammer could come on, put a load of things up for sale for really good value. It suddenly, you know, and then 2 weeks later, as things start arriving and people checking them, there could be problems. That guy could have potentially cashed out his money and gone down the road with a fake account and opened another one. So in a way, they kind of, I guess what they're trying to do is hold on to your money for a bit. Just make sure you're a reliable seller. Just make sure you're fulfilling your obligations. You're not doing anything wrong. And they say, okay, you've been going for this long. Everything's fine. We're going to release those reins a little bit more and let you have it. That's the only thing I can imagine that it's for. It makes sense. That's the only way it makes sense, put it that way. But it's
I mean, I would agree. That's the only way it makes sense. If you've got if you've got some shady guys out there, because for as good as sellers that we are, we're just genuine, honest sellers trying to make a living for ourselves, our families, our loved ones, our freedom, etc. There are a small portion of people that try to con the system and try to steal and all the rest of it. But what's interesting, and maybe somebody would be able to tell me a little bit more details, and maybe Sean, you'd be able to tell me yourself, is like how long that goes on for. Like, I can understand at the beginning. I can totally understand at the beginning. There's got to be some security measure in place. You can't just have somebody selling £20,000 in their first month, and then you've got no sort of history of like a customer's happy, and because the last thing they want to do is give £20,000 out and then lots of people complain. And Luke says here, makes you think how big of a problem maybe Amazon have had over the years with scamming accounts and shady people. But it would be interesting, and I think we said this in one of the shows maybe a few months back, that if you can start to see, like, within 1 month, 2 months, you're starting to get some feedback, like positive customer feedback. You're starting to see, your orders are being fulfilled and people are happy. And that's why at the beginning, if you are a new seller, that's the only time I would potentially recommend using something like a Feedback Express to try to boost your customer feedback up a little bit. Like, once you get to a certain point, there's no point. Like, there's no point in actively trying to get positive feedback. Once you've got several thousand, there's just no point. But right at the beginning, when it does become a little bit more critical, especially with cash flow, I would recommend potentially looking at trying to boost your customer feedback by using something like a Feedback Express, simply to give you an argument. Like, let's say you get 10 positive feedbacks or 20 and nobody's had any problems and they're still keeping hold of your money. It starts to build your case of why you're a good seller. Like, look, I've had 20 odd customer positive feedbacks. I've had 300 orders, absolutely no problems, no order defects. You go through your Seller Central account, your account health, and everything that Amazon have there in terms of the FBA performance, just sort of regurgitate it back to them, saying, look, I've had no defect orders, I've had no bad feedback, I've got positive feedback, can I have my money? And then they might give you your money.
It sounds familiar, actually, Kev. I'm sure someone actually gave us feedback that they asked. They spoke to seller support.
Was it one of the Simons?
I think it might have been one of the Simons. So that might actually be a shout, Sean. Just go up there. Just give them it costs nothing to send them a message and say, hi, I'm going well, but my cash flow is suffering because of the buffers and this. So, maybe would you consider all my metrics have been on point. I'm doing well, but I do need the extra cash flow to be able to build my business. Would it be okay to remove the buffers? And I have a feeling it does sound familiar, Kev. I think they did actually release it early for one of the Simons. So yeah, give it a go, Sean. It's a good shout, because why not? You may as well ask. And I have a feeling they've done that for someone. So ask and you will receive. I would say is no harm than asking. But yeah, I think it's there for the right reasons. It's there to protect the customer experience, and eBay do it as well. It's just frustrating if you are a new seller and you've got to go through all that.
Yeah. And I think I'm convinced it was probably, I think it was one of the Simons, and it was a success. So it was definitely worth doing, because right at the start, you invest in money and you need that money back. It's as simple as that. Like,
absolutely.
we don't all. You're in a very fortunate position if you're starting your business and you've got thousands of pounds just laying around. Who does that? Nobody does it. Everyone needs their money, because it's important, especially right at the at the start, when you're just trying to get your machine up and running. So yeah, definitely give it a go, Sean. Let us know what you think.
Yeah,
how it goes.
You know what we should do? Thinking about this question, that it might have come up before, and it's probably going to be the case. We're not going to remember the answer to every single question that we'll go through, especially ones that won't have necessarily happened to us in the past. I wonder if there's a way of creating like some sort of frequently asked questions search algorithm thing that we could almost sort of add to every time we get a little golden nugget like that has actually been proven to work by somebody, whether we could just put some keywords in and put the answer and just build it up as we go along over the time, because that could be quite a powerful thing for new people starting to go along.
Oh, for sure. I mean, one of the things, and talking of our new assistant, which will come in the next week or so, Andy, one of the things that we will definitely do, and we will be able to do, is if we share maybe in the Facebook group, or when we think about them, if there's any of these golden nuggets that have helped and actually proved to be worthwhile, we can develop some type of like PDF file or PDF something that's just attached for people just to read or get access to or whatever. And then because there's always going to be people that join us a little bit later on that maybe, for you guys that watch every single minute of every single show, we really, really do appreciate it. And you guys are absolutely warriors for being here with us. But some people, everyone's got a busy life. So you might 1 week might miss something. So it'd be quite good to capture this. So we'll look to do that. We'll look to do it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And I did see Sam mentioning if you appreciate the show, give us a thumbs up on the video. I'd appreciate that as well. If you're listening in the chat and you're watching this right now, or you're watching it on the replay, of thumbs up if you appreciate this community and this project, then we do appreciate that. It's always going to help. So thank you, Sam, for pointing that out again. I do appreciate it. Just going through some, are still missing. So many comments are still missing some of these comments. There's been so many coming through. It's great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, really appreciate you, Sam, for any thumbs ups, any shares. Obviously, we really do appreciate it. It's a wonderful thing, and it's great to do this every week on a Monday without fail.
Absolutely. Bank holiday or no, I nearly forgot. I'm not in my usual routine today, so I nearly forgot. I can't deny that, but I did remember. Yeah. Sam says the boat looks awesome, Andy. Did you take it out? I didn't take it out. I was itching to take the boat out, and then it rained all day Saturday and most of Sunday. So I'm sad face, unfortunately, because I really wanted to jump on the boat and take it down to the pub, and I didn't get a chance. But there was always another day. There's always going to be another sunny weekend that I'll get the opportunity, Sam. So I'll invite you down next time.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely living the dream. Living the dream. I really want to. I'm going to have a boat as well. I'd love to have a boat out in like Mallorca or Greece one day. Just be spectacular. To be able to have a yacht around the marina. Oh yeah, living the dream. That's what we're working towards, isn't it?
Something about rivers. There's something about the water. I just love to be around the water. I'm lucky that the river's just down the road from my house, and it's just the best place to be on a warm day is to be out on the river. It's great.
Sam says, what's the law on drinking and sailing?
Very, very grey, I would say, Sam. Luckily, very grey. As long as you don't cause yourself a public nuisance, I think certainly going to the pub and the more I drink, I definitely think. That's good. So, but there couldn't be anything better for me. Everyone's different, but for me, I just love to be on the river. Just the opportunity to be on the river and taking that. Yeah. You can feel the stress levels just go. Whenever you're just anywhere near the river, it's great. It's a lovely place to be.
Yeah. Kylie's family, Kylie's uncle, they have a boat out in Mallorca, and it's just amazing. Like absolutely, the freedom of being able to take a boat out, it's just incredible. Especially when it's sunny and it's just like the sunshine, the views. It's just like. Yes. When you have that type of day, you want to just have a drink, and you want to. So, I mean, if there is a law on drinking and sailing, then I think one day they might catch me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. There's something very special about it, and I do enjoy. Yeah, even wherever I'm traveling, I always try and make sure I get out onto a boat at any opportunity, because it's traveling's not the same unless you're out on the water and out on the boat. I definitely agree. And one day, Kev, we'll have to have a reseller think tank somewhere warm on a boat, so we can maybe brainstorm the next season of the Reseller Show, and that should probably be somewhere warm with beer on a boat. I think sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, it would be a great plan, definitely, for sure. That's one of the things I'm really looking forward to. Like, what's some of the places that we could do a reseller show on? Like, could we do it on the top of a mountain? Can we do it? Can we do it in on a boat? You know, that's one of the missions. One of the missions in life.
Absolutely. And Luke, the ex-police officer, says no comment. Lol. Probably just as well.
Yeah, damn it. Yeah, we are the ex-police in the house.
Hey, it doesn't matter how fast your car is, Luke. It ain't coming on water, mate. So there's no shot. You can't ram raiders on a boat unless you do some sort of crazy James Bond stuff. You're not getting us.
That won't surprise me with Luke.
Yeah, just wait in the pub car park. That's a pretty straightforward place to be. But yeah, great stuff.
My house is like Kevin's back in 2015. Sean, I can really relate to you. It's one of the parts and parcel of the journey. Take photos. Take photos of where you are right now. I one of the things that I try to share as much as I possibly can is take photos of your journey. Like, whether you end up sharing them one day, it's completely up to yourself. But I know for me, I'm very grateful that I was taking photos during that time where you've got no living room, you've got no dining room. It's just everything's just all over your house, and it's just great to look back on. It just reminds you of where you've been. And a lot of the times, it's important to do that, because sometimes you may feel that you may be not progressing quick enough, or you may feel that things are not happening quick enough. But then you look back on a photo and you think to yourself, wow, like, look how far I actually have come. So, capturing it through videos. I mean, I do video captures. I literally will do a vlog because of the YouTube channel and things. I will do that. Like, I create vlogs more for my own benefit than anybody else's, just so I've got them to look back on. But definitely recommend anybody to record the journey as you go along.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great suggestion. It's always good to record the journey, and sometimes it's actually the real life normal stuff that you wouldn't take a picture of, which is more fascinating when you look back than the high points. Obviously, you're going to record the high points, but just your memory will fade through those experiences of everyday life, and they're the best ones to try and record. So yeah, just take lots of pictures. I think it's a great tip. Right. Have we got anything else more to share at the 58-minute mark, Kev, or are we going to knock it on the head for this evening?
Yeah, no, I think it's been another great show. Another great show.
I agree.
If you haven't already, please do give it a thumbs up.
Absolutely.
Do that now. We're waiting.
I can see.
We see everything.
3 people have given us a thumbs up, and there was 12 people on the comments. So someone's not pulling the weight around here.
Come on. This is what you need to do.
Take massive action, God damn it. That's it. To make that massive thumb action.
Yeah.
Happy days. But I've enjoyed it as always. It's always good to sort of work through some ideas and some suggestions. We say it is an ongoing process, this creep community, and it's been an enjoyable one. We're trying to find new ways of helping you guys, and we've got a lot more to come up. We've got some exciting stuff to share with you in the very near future. So I'm looking forward to developing these ideas with Kev and finding new ways to interact with you guys. So yeah, stick with us, and we're looking forward to where we can take it. Yeah, and as always, guys, have a fantastic week. Do what you can. Keep sharing the journey with the group. Use the Facebook group if you like. You are invited there, and just take one step forward every day. Sometimes try to take 3 or 4 steps, because that's really massive action then. Absolutely massive. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for slightly large. We're looking for absolutely massive.
Yes, always go massive.
Yeah, yeah. Mediocre or mildly bulbous doesn't quite work, as it needs to be massive, or it's not worth taking any action at all. So,
well, this is it, isn't it? This is it. Like one of just to end here, one of the great things that I learned, and it makes sense, right? When it comes to taking action, when it comes to taking any amount of action, usually the most action happens when you're in extremes. So you're either in a really, really like desperate position, that's going to get you to take massive action when you're in a desperate position, or you're in a super, super like inspired, motivated position. That's where the juice is. Nothing in between. When you're just okay, when you're just average, when I'm just fine, there's nothing exciting there. You've got to put yourself into massive action state. And if that means, hopefully for all of us, it's all about being inspired and motivated instead of desperate. That's not a position that any of us want to be in. But take massive action every day.
Absolutely. What a great way to finish it this evening. Luke says, I was reading the 4-Hour Work Week today and it said massive action. Made me think of you, Kev. You're forever going to be known as Kev Massive Action Blackburn, and for great reason, because you epitomise that yourself, Kev. So I think that's a great analogy, actually, a really great way to look at it. You're either at one extreme or the other, and so if you are sit in the middle, like if you are fine, then it really is a good way to try and become inspired and become motivated, because that's where you're going to be at your best if you're pushing yourself, and it's worth it, because what you find and what you achieve at those edges, like if what you can do with doing half marathons and swimming a mile in open water and sort of learning a new skill or taking your business to new heights, it's worth it. It's worth the climb, it's worth the push. So let's keep doing it.
I will say this, Andy. I'm glad that I wasn't doing the open water swim, because I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be able to do that, that's for sure. So good on you.
That'll be your next challenge. That'll be your next challenge. I'll try and run 2 miles, which I think would kill me, and you can see if you can swim a mile. We'll see how.
Yeah, there's picture this, guys. Okay, picture this. There's me swimming, nearly dying, and there's Andy on his boat next to me having a nice drink like that.
Yeah. Come on, Kev. Where's the massive action? Love it.
Yeah.
We'll have to do it. We'll have to do it.
Yeah. Right.
All right, guys.
That's a great way to end the show.
Absolutely.
I'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy. See you guys. Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.